Coming at you live from a couple of stools in the low class studios. This is a feminist and a comedian walk into a bar. I'm Justin Golak. I am a comedian and a rum guy. Hashtag
Still a rum guy.
I'm sipping on, you guessed it, a little bit of rum. Oh,
You look so chilled out.
just as good as I remember. That's that Barcelo Gran Añejo.
Oh, from our
rum.
bake game.
Rum, baby. So I'm sipping on some rum because I'm a hashtag rum guy, and that's my new personality. That's my new persona. That's what I'm all about. Just living that rum life. What do you think about that?
I think it's just so on brand for you to be a hashtag rum guy.
Have you noticed any changes in me since I become a rum guy? If they remember, the listeners, we took our little winter holiday break, and we're back, fresh, better than ever. And that's when I announced that I was becoming a rum guy.
The big announcement.
The big announcement.
The big reveal.
The big reveal.
That he's a rum guy now.
We'll be back next season, and I will be fully into rum guy persona.
There's more sand sprinkled around
There's a
the
lot
apartment.
of sand in the apartment. Besides the sand in the apartment, have you noticed any changes?
No.
So I think you're correct in saying.
Except telling more people that you're a hashtag rum guy.
I don't say hashtag in real life. I'm not that yet. That's a hashtag different person. But
we were just at a party and you're like, I'm a rum guy.
Actually, they said, hey, we got some rum. We heard you're a rum guy. The word is spreading.
Word is out.
Have rum available when I show up.
Justin's coming. Oh, no.
Grab some rum. We're out of rum. What will he do? He's a rum guy.
He's a rum guy. I feel like rum guys are so chill, though, you'd be okay with something else.
Yeah, I'll still drink. We were at a party the other...
Rum guys aren't picky guys. They just prefer rum.
No, it's just, it's a lifestyle. It's not a beverage choice. I mean, it's that, but it's so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were at a party recently, and they had whiskey, and I drank some whiskey. But I told them I would bring rum next time because they should try it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're spreading the word.
Yeah, I'm a rum guy. Yeah, and I think it's basically it's a testament to what you've said since this has been implemented into my life, which is there hasn't been a big change. It's the same me you've always known, which kind of implies that I've been a rum guy all along. I'm just finally learning and embracing it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we've learned.
Finally found the title you've been looking for.
I've always been a rum guy.
Well, that's why. Yeah, I feel like you haven't changed. It's now we just have a name for what you've always been.
Right. Perfect. All right. So
my husband. Oh yeah, he's a rum guy.
He's a rum guy. So that's what I'm sipping on. The person talking to me, that is Jackie Manti. She is a feminist. And what are you sipping on, Jackie?
I'm a hashtag alcoholic, and so I'm drinking my go-to bar drink so that it looks like I'm drinking, but I'm not. It's a club soda cranberry.
Nice.
In a rocks glass. Yeah. You got me Topo Chico, which is like the hip new sparkling water, right?
I think it's kind of hip.
It's like hip.
I think it's hip.
Yeah, I just don't know about that kind of stuff anymore. What makes it hip? Like the cool kids are drinking Topo Chico and not like
I think so. I think it's like the Mexican
Like LaCroix
Coke.
is not cool anymore, right? Like
LaCroix is a thing. I mean, sparkling water is hip.
In general.
I think LaCroix is its standard bearer. You know, it's not uncool. It's not basic. It's not cool. It just is. You know what I mean? It's LaCroix.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you drink. I think
that sounded like an ad pitch.
I think San Pellegrino, not the sour Pinots, the flavor.
Right.
Just San Pellegrino in the glass in the green bottle is bougie.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
And I think
one.
Topo Chico is of the people.
It's really good.
It's hip. It's like hip. It's like hip and it's like
democratic.
Yeah, it's like the
populist mineral water of choice.
Here's what it's the Carhartt beanie on a non-forklift operator of sparkling waters. You know what I mean? Like
that's funny.
So, which is has some your pros and your cons, but I think you're on brand drinking Topo Chico.
Okay.
I think you are.
I'm of the people.
Yeah. Trying to think what other sparklings are out there. Yeah.
I'm so unintentionally cool. I didn't even know it was cool.
I wouldn't go that far. I would say more unaware of your surroundings. Uh, like a goldfish waiting around a new tank. But sure.
Is this what we're drinking now?
But it's available most places. So I would say
I know. I always see it at Tony's.
if you want a non-flavored sparkle, I would get a Topo Chico. I think you're a hashtag Topo Chico girl.
Do you think I'm always unaware of my surroundings?
Um,
I'm usually just like reading.
always.
Or, like,
I don't
doing
like. You know
something
what words
else.
I don't like?
Always.
Always and never.
Rum guys don't use those words.
Always and never. They're limiting.
Mm-hmm.
They limit the conversation, and that's not what we're trying to do here or in life. So you frequently seem unaware of the world around you.
Oh, I don't think that's true. Why? Because I didn't know Will Smith was in an Aladdin movie.
It's. I mean, I just don't know how you missed that. It was such big news.
Because I'm not on social media.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't even think I'm on social media.
You're
I think I just have.
you're on social media more than me.
But I think I
sure.
have like good streams. I still think your feed is probably a lot of like family, high school friends,
No,
like
it depends on the
maybe
platform.
business associates.
No, it depends on the platform. For Facebook, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not on Facebook very much.
I guess I'm not on social media a ton. I don't follow a ton of people.
Mm-hmm.
Even on Facebook where I'm friends with people, like unfollow a lot of them. I do. But it seems like I get a stream of like pop culture irreverence. Kind of, that's my breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I found out about that. But no, yeah, you're weirdly untapped into the social scene of the millennial world. And the news sometimes, honestly. Just like standard news, just like bills and wars. But also more I'm just saying in general. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying in general. Like, I'm just saying in general, like, I think we've been at a lot of places together where people have been drinking Topo Chico.
Oh.
So that's the kind of unawareness I'm talking about. There hasn't been a Topo Chico ad campaign that you've missed, or like it hasn't been in the news or in a movie. I'm just saying, like, I'm surprised that you've never seen it because we hang out together a lot.
I've seen it. I just haven't seen people drinking it. I've seen it at Tony's when I'm grocery shopping. Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's the unawareness I'm talking about. It's like you haven't seen. I see it like everywhere. Yeah. I feel like you'll probably see it more now, like when you get a car and you see that car.
I was just thinking that I need to learn the name of that phenomenon because
you bring it up all the time.
Because I'm certain I will reference it.
You
again
brought it
on
like
this
3 times on this podcast. It's a definite trope. Is Jackie being like, you know what?
It's like that thing when you get a car and then you see the car all the time. It has a name, but I don't know the name.
It's called a Honda Civic phenomenon. Yeah. So
a light blue Honda Civic phenomenon.
I still don't think that's true. Is it true? Is it proven, or is it a theory? And I think we have this same goddamn conversation every time we bring it up. In fairness, I
know you brought it up.
I just feel like that's because you're telling me if you buy like a Maserati, you're gonna start seeing more Maseratis. They're not around. I mean, people buy like a Jetta, and they're like, "Oh, I see Jettas." It's like, yeah, because there's a lot of them because it's a popular car.
It's called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, where one stumbles upon some obscure piece of information, often an unfamiliar word or name, and soon afterward encounters the same subject again, often repeatedly. That
I have noticed. That happens to me where I've used a word out of nowhere, like it did a deep vocabulary dig, and I'll like hear it on the TV or I'll hear it in a conversation. I'll be like, whoa.
Yeah.
But you're saying like the theory is that I've been hearing it just as much, I just have ignored it, and then it was fresh in my brain, and so now I notice it.
Oh, I don't know. That was I just read you.
I could see that being true. I could see that being true, but the car thing I think I don't think is true.
Okay.
You're telling me you get a Rolls Royce, and now you see Rolls Royce. There's not any. That theory is only ever said by people who own
a frequency illusion.
This is awful pod.
It's a cognitive bias which describes our tendency to see new information, names, ideas, or patterns everywhere soon after they're first brought to our attention. Okay, so that says it's an illusion, and you think you now see it. Yeah. Everywhere.
Well, I assumed it was an illusion. I didn't think there was
an illusion.
I'm just saying I don't think it's even that. I think it is reality. Honestly, it's because it's probably based on sales too. Like, I got a Jetta, and I started seeing more Jettas.
Mm-hmm.
But I bought my Jetta in like
In a Jetta sale.
January or something. So they always have that year-end clearance. I got it like end of December, early
So
January.
like more people were buying Jettas.
Or just cars. And again, the Jetta is a affordable entry-level sedan. So it would reason that a lot of those would sell at times when car sales spike, which I assume would be the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Because they either have deals on the new models or they're offloading the old models. And both look essentially the same, so I'm probably seeing one or the other more around that time. I could see.
I just think your brain is just so big and there's so much in the world that you're like, your brain is sort of filtering based on what you need to know. And it knows you have a Honda Civic now, so
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, we'll find all the cars that look like yours because that's now in our repertoire and what you need to know.
That's fair. I guess it's how you phrase it, not you, but I think most people, maybe not you,
The
but
Bender Meinhof.
I think it's like the idea that like, oh, like, I don't want to say this. It's like, it just seems like it's not one. It just seems like it's flawed. And it sounds like from what you read, it wasn't meant to it could be extrapolated to this car phenomenon, but it doesn't sound like it's inherently speaking to that. Because I guess my point is, yes, if you own a Jetta, you're probably more likely to see Jettas. But also, like, it's not an illusion. There are probably lots of Jettas and Civics.
It's a cognitive bias, right? Like it's...
Like I said, I just don't think it's that. This is awful. This is an awful
Wait,
pod,
just
and it's
to
all
be
my
clear,
fault this time. I admit that.
You think it's not cognitive bias? Like
I think it is bias. Like you're noticing them more, but then I feel like I've heard dumb people say this, like it seems like there's more, and it's like it doesn't seem. There are a lot of Jettas. You might notice them more, but so that would be what you say. Like, now that I have a Jetta, I notice Jettas.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, I think, correct. But I think some people frame it as, I got a Jetta, and now it seems like there's more Jettas. And it's like, it doesn't seem like there's more. You're just noticing them. But also, like, it can't seem like there's more because there's a lot of Jettas. And the only time I've ever heard this phenomenon is like Jettas, Civics, Corollas. Again, I've never heard anyone with like a Maserati be like, I just got a Maserati and now all I see is Maseratis. It's like you probably own the only one in your city. So you're probably not going to see one. And if you're into a car like a Maserati, I'm sure you see a Maserati every time you're out, even if you didn't own one at the time.
Okay.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just seems... I think people hear something and then they just... It just... Anything with like a study... or anything, it feels like that gets game of telephoned so quick. I feel like I've read something on the news and then someone comes to me like a day later and says, did you hear about? And then they tell me the thing and I'm like, that is so wrong. Like I just get nervous. I'm like, how many people have you talked to before me? Because misinformation is now spreading like a virus and then I just weep for humanity.
Yeah, but I mean, that's... hello, history of humanity.
I mean, I know. I'm not bringing up like an original point, but it's just like, it's so frightening. Because I'll read something and I feel like I'm kind of very cognizant of like, just being like, okay, cool, like kind of digesting. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm not like an amazing, interesting. It's not like
the way you read it is right all the time. It's like,
I mean, it's just
our own interpretation of it.
It's just like I'm more cognizant to just like get the facts and dig through the hysteria. / and again, there's so much fucking news and it comes so quick and it overturns so often. But I try to at least do like a follow-up if it's something I would wish to talk about or think about. Just like the next day, just Google it again and be like, is there an update? And I mean, that's going to go into our first topic because there's been a lot of updates and I'm sure people are working with like old information or a leak that has been confirmed or hasn't been confirmed. But yeah, I feel like I'll hear something on the news. I'll be like, okay, this seems like what the facts are, but it's kind of like a big story. And then like I'll talk to someone 24 hours later. Like, did you hear this? They're doing this. I'm like, sometimes it's like they said specifically in the article I read they're not doing that.
Do you call them out on it?
No, I just don't. I don't give a shit.
Because you're a rum guy.
I'm a rum guy. Rum guys, we're not trying to start fights at parties. You know what I mean? Unless it's over who's about to get the next bottle of rum. But then we don't fight. We just play paper, rock, scissors, best of 3. On shoot, not on 3. Hashtag rum guy. That's how you do it. That's how we settle disagreements.
Got it.
Very hard and fast rules, but I think that's how you should play rock, paper, scissors. It should
On
always
shoot.
be best of 3. Should never be off 1. That's luck. There's no strategy. Now you're not playing a gentleman's game. You're playing a game of chance. A gentleman's game is you play best of 3. Use a little strategy with your luck, right? Just like blackjack. And then
Yeah.
you do 1, 2, 3, shoot. We're not animals. Don't shoot on 3. You have an extra second. It's a more natural rhythm, right? No one wants to shoot on a number. It's 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, start. Ready, set, go. I know that's 3 things, ready, set, go. But it's still like the idea of your beats and then a go, right? Whenever you're lifting something, it's 1, 2, 3, lift. You never lift on 3.
I have 0 video game knowledge, but isn't that the Mario Kart? Ding, 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 bam, and then you go.
I don't know if it's 2 or 3 bings. But still, the point is you have your beats and then a go.
And then a go.
The go should never be a beat in and of itself. It's flawed. It doesn't matter if there's 1, 2, or 3 beats. You could even go
There's like
1,
a change.
go.
There's like a
Yeah,
change.
you could even say
for the
ready, go.
Got it.
But it has to be beat, go. Go should be its own thing.
I like that in a world where misinterpretation of the news is so common, we need these hard and fast. I mean, just simple things like that make you feel better in the world.
Well, like I said, being a rum guy, I'm a gentleman. I believe in respect. I believe in gentlemanness. I believe in rationality. And I think, just an implicit fairness towards humanity. And I think that my rules for paper, rock, scissors show that. They reflect that. That, again, like, we take out the luck and we make it something for gentlemen and ladies. I'm not trying to be gender biased.
Rum guys are like everything you said, but it's not for like United Nations discussions. It's like for rock, paper, scissors,
Well, I don't think anywhere in leadership positions.
It's for beach volleyball.
Well, I think here's the problem. That's not rum guy's fault. That's the world's fault. Because that's the problem I see with the world as it stands right now. All positions of power not held by a single rum man or woman.
You're like a more cleaned up rum guy is like
a rum guy or gal.
Cleaned up version of the dude.
It is. There's a level of sophistication.
Yeah.
But not arrogance or pretentiousness.
Right.
Just
like
sophistication.
The dude. But I feel like you just chill with like
whiskey guys are too mean.
Of the world.
A rum guy is like a whiskey guy but nice, and like a vodka guy but classy. A vodka guy,
What's a gin guy?
I mean, just a rum. Here's the. All right, I got it now. A rum guy is like a whiskey guy but nice. A rum guy is like a vodka guy but classy. A rum guy is like a gin guy but not pretentious. And a rum guy is like a tequila guy but rational.
Okay.
So I consider those other 4 guys and gals. You can be a rum gal too.
You're like a white Russian guy, but well dressed.
I mean, I'm not gonna get into mixed drinks.
I'm trying to
because
bring
now
up
we're
the
bringing in
dude
mixers.
again.
I know, and it's adorable. And I know you just saw that Super Bowl ad, and it's fresh on your brain. You got that Honda Civic syndrome.
I'm also
You're
going
like,
bowling on Monday, so I'm
all got it on
up
the
on the dude.
So I think that those guys, whiskey guys, vodka guys, gin guys, tequila guys, they're my brethren. I have no distaste for them. And I'm sure they would find things about me that they think, not unappealing, that they could improve upon with their drink of choice. Just like, again, I don't think I'm better than the whiskey guy. I just think I have certain characteristics that set me apart in a positive way. I think the whiskey guy would feel the same way about me, and that's fair. Because like I said, I'm a rum guy. I'm a gentleman. Those are my brethren. I love them as my own. Mm-hmm. But I would just suggest, all you guys and gals out there, maybe you're tired of your preferred liquor of choice, or maybe you don't have one. You've been a beer or a wine guy or gal. You want to start drinking more liquor. I suggest trying rum out, seeing how it makes you feel, and join the club. This has been Justin Golak for rum. You want to get into topic 1?
Yeah.
All right. It's nice to be back.
I know.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Oh, this has been, this will be, I guess I better way to say it. A feminist and comedian walk into a bar. You can go to FemComPod.com for more info on the podcast. And, as always, for everything else, you can go to lowclass.com. That's lo-class.com. And, real quick, I just want to start giving a quick plug to this. Patreon.com/LOClass, no dash. That's probably the best way to donate to low class and all it does, whether it's books or podcasts or comedy albums or comedy specials or blog content. Everything we do, we put up digitally for free. Um, and the best way to support it is become a Patreon patron. You can still go to lowclass.com. You can donate via Venmo or PayPal, but I think Patreon is set up the most natural way for a donation-based system like we use. And obviously, any donation we will appreciate and love, and thank you so much for doing it. But I think the best thing about Patreon also is if you donate that way, now you're a patron, now you get stuff at the lowest level, buck, just a buck. You get bonus content. The best part about bonus content, we've done a chunk of it already. So you got a backlog to sift through, and we got more coming up this year. And if you go up the food chain of donation level, we send you our version of the tote bag and the Antiques Roadshow DVD box set, which is just merch from us, some custom merch / physical goods, and you can be part of this podcast at one of the levels, and we've already had someone do that, and it's been super cool. So keep hitting up that Patreon page. We got some patrons already, but we want more. And I think we really got some cool ideas for bonus content for this year.
Yeah.
Because last year we had some good stuff, but also the big part was like we did a lot of different things. And I think through that we found a couple things where like, hey, we like this. We should do this like once a month or twice a month and like just make it like a regular occurring bonus segment.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can get those over there. So cool. I really want to up the content in general, not just like me and you doing a pod, me doing a pod, maybe some video content, maybe like some extra like blogs or stories or stuff like that. Like I think there's a lot we can do with that platform in 2019. So if you want to get on the ground floor of accepting that content, patreon.com/LOClass. No dash on that one. All right, topic one. Are you ready for it?
Ready.
First topic back. All right. Jussie Smollett. Is that how you say it?
Jussie.
Can I get old man for just like a second? Just a second.
You can.
Where are all the goddamn normal names? Is there not just one goddamn normal name left in the pantheon? Pantheon? What's that
Pantheon?
word? Pantheon of names.
What do you say? Pantheon?
Pantheon is a good name, by the way. So I take back everything I say. Don't name your kid John, name him Pantheon. Yeah, Jussie Smollett. So had you heard anything about this until I talked to you about this topic? Talking about awareness. So you heard about the attack.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
But then did you hear anything about the follow-up investigation at all?
No.
So this is all news to you when I sent you this link.
Yes.
All right. So I think this is, again, I assume you should keep checking in on this case, see if there's any updates. Obviously, always changing. But this is news. The news we're going to talk about in topic one literally just got released like late last night. So it's pretty up to date. So if you guys don't know, Jussie Smollett, actor on Empire, he is black and gay, and he was outside of, I believe, his apartment in Streeters. Excuse me, burped. Oh, that's not very rum guy of me. I apologize. So yeah, he lives in Chicago. I don't know full-time or part-time. I know Empire films in Chicago, so I assume at least part-time.
Yeah.
Well, he was outside his apartment building in Streetersville, which is near downtown Chicago, and two men attacked him, poured bleach on him, used homophobic and racial slurs towards him. They apparently had Make America Great hats on, Make America Great Again hats on, and put a noose on him and punched him a little bit, and that was the story. It was a hate crime, and it was bad.
He fended him off, he said.
I guess so. Fended them off, or they ran away. But so it looks like the most recent discovery is that the two attackers were these two brothers from Nigeria. Jussie Smollett paid them $3,500 to stage the attack. They were supposed to get another $500 when they flew back to Nigeria, which they were supposed to do like the day after the attack, which I guess they did, but somehow like police got a hold of them and now they're cooperating. That I didn't totally understand, but it seems like they did fly out to Nigeria, and I don't know if they came back or if they're contacting them, but apparently they're cooperating, these two Nigerian brothers. Apparently they rehearsed the attack even beforehand, and they have proof that they bought the rope that was used for the noose at the Crafty Beaver, which I have passed before. It's in
your little local hardware chain.
Yeah, I forget what neighborhood it's in.
Great
it's up on the
publicity for them,
northeast
I
side.
guess.
for the Crafty Beaver.
The old crafty beef.
Your home of hate crime gear since 2019. 2 2x4s and some nails, a little bit of kerosene, and some matches. Everything you need to show the blacks they're not welcome in this neighborhood anymore. The Crafty Beaver. For everything you need to say you're not welcome here.
I just love that there's
Build that wall. When you need to build that wall, you need supplies. Come to the Crafty Beaver.
Crafty Beaver.
Keep those Mexicans out because you need a job and they can't have it. Build the wall, Crafty Beaver. Hate crime suppliers, the Crafty Beaver. Chomp, 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 chomp. Yeah, was that where you trying to do a beaver noise?
Yeah,
I think that's chomp, 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 chomp.
You got the idea. I just like that they were also Nigerian. Just like Nigerians can't get a break on being related to hoaxes.
Oh, God. I didn't even think of that. That's hilarious.
2 Nigerian princes beat up
yeah.
Jesse Smollett.
Maybe that was the motive. Maybe he didn't give him their bank account so they could transfer $6 million.
Or a Nigerian prince is reaching out to people now like, my brothers need bailed out of jail.
Yeah. And they're like, fooled me once, Nigerian prince. It adds up in the news, but I don't like it. So anyways, what do you think about this in general? And I guess just to, if you want to, like the kind of specific thing I wanted to talk about was, honestly, as fucking crazy as this is and as kind of ugly as it is from so many facets, I think that I'm kind of impressed by it. In the era we live in, I'm decently hopeful from this case. Because, look, you're going to have crazy people on all sides, right? You're going to have people that are I still see people kind of like defending him, like saying like, we don't know yet, and kind of like blaming like the cops, like, cops have covered up stuff before, and it's like, yeah,
I
think it's like decently set. Like I said, please keep refreshing the story, at least for the next week.
He's like denying that it's
I think
fake
he's still
at all,
denying
and is saying that he's being re-victimized.
But here's the thing: people that say like, "Oh, the cops have covered up stuff before," like they bring up like Laquan McDonald. It's like, yeah, that's because they were the criminals, so they were covering up their crime, like they were murderers and they didn't want to be found out. This, they're just investigating. There's no reason for them to cover it up or not. You know what I mean? Like,
so you trust it?
I trust what is out so far.
Okay.
And I'll trust more information that either affirms or counters this. I guess that's kind of my point is like, you still have people kind of like saying like, we don't know and fuck cops. Also, for sure, fuck cops. But like in this specific thing, like, I don't think they're lying. And then you also have people that are like, I knew right away this was fake. And it's like, okay, well, that's like a fucked up thing to say. Like, that you knew right away that that's like impossible. Like, hate crimes do occur, and they look kind of like this. So, for sure, you should have just #believed him initially. But I guess that's kind of like why this seems, because I feel like most people, heard, again, those are the crazies on either side. I feel like most people heard this story and were like, that's fucked up. Let's see what happened. And I feel like the cops, until literally last night, and I don't even think they fully retracted this fully. They're just releasing information. But I think like up until last night for sure, and even maybe through it until they even get more information, they have said they are treating Jussie Smollett as a victim.
Yeah.
And, and again, to me, that's what the kind of merging, because I don't think it's one or the other. Again, that's crazies arguing on either side. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's a merger of #BelieveHer/him and due process. I don't think you have to throw out due process to just become a pitchfork society, but I don't think you have to like, just be so married to kind of legalese that you just lose the humanity in people that are victims of stuff. Not every victim has like stone cold proof, and not every victim is going to garner the national attention to get like the police to put those many man hours on the case. So I think this is a good thing of like, hey man, this shit happens. Like, people get hate crimed. It's fucked up. If that happened to you, that's awful. And we need to support you, and we are. We're going to support you. But also, it seems a little weird. We're going to have to find who attacked you anyways, because if they are criminals, we want to put them in jail. But if they have a different story and things aren't adding up, like, we have to follow that. And I don't know, man. This seems like it was handled pretty good by most of society, not all of it, and the legal kind of people involved, the cops and whoever. Because, again, like, same thing. It's like, I don't think that we should just pitchfork anyone accused of, like, sexual assault, for instance. But at the same time, I cannot have more sympathy for people that say that the cops and the lawyers and the judges do not take sexual assaults as seriously as they should. That is 100%
Especially
true.
if it's by someone in power.
Right.
Right.
And well, just I just think that it seems like that even without that,
Yeah, totally. But even more so,
For sure.
victims are even less likely to report it.
For sure. But I'm just saying,
And when you
like,
say crazy is on
yeah.
both sides, what's interesting is that both of those sides, where the crazy is coming from, is that they feel like they are the underdogs being victimized by the other side, the other crazy.
For sure. That always motivates
weird.
it. It's weird. But again, like, I just feel hopeful because it seems like justice and empathy have both prevailed. It seems like we were kind to this man when we thought something bad had happened to him. And I don't even think we're unkind to him. We're just saying, like, this is now a bad thing you've done, and you have to face that.
Why.
But I don't, again, besides a few crazies, I don't see anyone, like, calling for his fucking head or something. I'm not saying I haven't seen that, but not a lot. And I think this is how things should play out. It feels good.
Yeah.
Even though the situation's
I mean,
so
does it disturb you, though, that he even created a hoax like this in the first place? I mean, I guess I get what you're saying, and I think that that's true. But I've been reading a lot about victimhood culture and what that means. That phrase makes me very anxious because
victimhood culture.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people on the right will use it as like dismissive,
for sure,
tactic to kind of explain away any sort of anger about something or any kind of discussion about minorities or privilege or victimhood, right? Like there's like victimhood culture. It makes it seem like, at least that's how I read it, that there can be no truth to the victimhood status, right? You're just in a victimhood culture. But I've been reading this book. I've been slowly working my way through it, and it's by these two sociology professors, and they describe it in a way, in like sociological terms that make so much sense to me, and I feel like this is a clear example of how we are living in a victimhood culture. So they describe it as there's like 3 culture types, right? There's dignity culture, which is like there's like low sensitivity to slight. You kind of have to have a thick skin. Like having a thick skin is sort of applauded, right? And then if there is something more than insult or a slight, right, like an assault, you are to handle the matter through like legal sources, right? So there's this trust in authority to correct a wrong or imprison someone who did something violent or whatever. And then like taking laws into your own hands and dignity culture is like really looked down upon. And then there's on the opposite side honor culture, which is like these cultures, like I feel like these are in movies all the time of like old times, right? Like insults are very upsetting and they demand a serious response, and like it's shameful if you don't defend yourself against a perceived insult, whether it was intentional or not. Like you're seen as you should be ashamed if you don't stand up for yourself.
It's like every kung fu movie. I also think of dueling, like white dudes of some petticoat joke, like, and someone dies, right? Like just this honor culture. Your petticoat is pretty flouncy. You must die now.
What did you say?
Throw
down the gauntlet. Yeah. I don't know what that accent was.
We will kill each other
kill each
over that. We have founded our country now.
I know.
Fucking animals.
Our heroes. But so
that's why I always like hate, like I have like this chunk about 23andMe, and like another thing I've been working on is like the idea of like ancestors. Like everyone wants to know about their ancestors, even not even just where they're from, but like your ancestor. And it's like, dude, you have uncles you don't like. They're 40 years older than you. You think you're going to like some ancestor? You think like you have anything in common?
I know.
Here's what I feel about my ancestors. I'm glad they're fucking dead. That's how I feel. So it's just weird, the idea. Anyways.
Oh, well, it's so we want to glorify it or just romanticize.
I don't care where I came from. I just don't care. I'm here now. I'll do it better.
I know. I think that's
or at least I'll try.
So interesting, your take on that.
Yeah.
But okay. So that's,
if I have grandkids, please visit me, and if I'm going dementia, please kill me in my sleep. But please do better than I did here. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to revere my legacy.
Right.
Maybe my grandkids, but definitely grandkids don't even know my fucking name, please. I guarantee you'll be doing better.
Yeah.
Respect.
Respect. No, just know this. He was a rum guy.
He was a rum guy.
Okay, so
And you should live by that code, but transfer it to your own times and your own values.
sure. So there's this honor culture, right? Dignity culture. And they both sort of have their pros and cons when taken to extremes, right? But honor culture, obviously, it seems way more fucked up. But victimhood culture is like both of these things in one, right? Where they've taken some of this culture's characteristics and some of this culture's characteristics, and now your victimhood culture. So they have like the dignity cultures, like, or well, let's start. So they take the honor. They're basically very sensitive to any perceived insult or injustice, or even if it's unintentional. You know, like my mom still says Oriental, and I'm like, you can't. Oh, don't say that. You know, like things like that, right? Like
Here's the thing. That's not that bad, but I've heard your mom say other things where I can't forgive Oriental.
Sure.
If Oriental was her worst offense, I'd be like, all right.
But she doesn't need to be dueled against, right? Like
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but
okay, well,
for a
that's
different
a bad
podcast.
example.
I'm
Let's
just
take my
kidding.
mom out of it. But basically that high sensitivity, right?
Yes.
And like feeling like there needs to be
Right.
a response now, and there's like this
Yes.
moral panic internally and like just culturally if something
that.
wrong happens. Okay. Should never just leave my family out of it. But okay, so then in dignity so they also are taking this aspect of dignity cultures, like belief in using and asking for help from other people or authority, right?
Yes.
And in victimhood culture, that doesn't just look like the police system. It looks like going to the administration or HR or other people. So your partisan group, basically. So you have this high sensitivity, and then also this dependence on legal or just other groups of people to like stand up for you and defend you. And it's sort of, I like how they describe it. They're not saying it's like, they aren't like this is good or this is bad and these people. It's more just like this is what's happening, and then
They
those
all
combine.
have their pros and cons, and
Sure.
they all act in different ways.
But we're like taking these two things, and when you dial them up a notch, then we're kind of living in this place
hybrid.
where, right, it's a messy hybrid, and like it emphasizes that this source of moral superiority comes from however much you could be potentially victimized by society. So the more victimhood like you have, the better of a person you are seen as being, and like having any kind of privilege. You just deserve contempt immediately without having this, like you said, due process or just this nuance or thinking about. And I think that's really, I think you saw that in the response to Jussie Smollett. And like you're saying, I do think it's great. I love that we paid attention to it, or, you know, like socially we were on hand to say that's not right. Like if this happened, we need to fix this. But there was also a lot of, you know, celebrities or people who were like, this is just proof we're living in, you know, a racism. It's like, no, there's way more proof that we're living in a racist America, right? And or just the, like, you know, how this world is so sad. How could this happen? You know, like immediate, like not that we had to question his thing, but there's no sense of restraint. It is like almost like they're looking forward to that sort of hate crime happening, so then they can be like, prove the point to the third parties that don't really see it.
Well, here's the thing that I think is going to be the most important part of this. When you say, like, what does this mean and how does it relate to society as a whole, I think what's going to be interesting is the why. That's really going to be what kind of sets this into a different light, because we don't really have a why right now. And now, if I could sound the official FemComPod unfounded theories alarm. Unfounded theories. This is not proven or researched.
Crafty Beaver.
Sponsored by the Crafty Beaver. You're home for everything you need to promote
to make false
hate
accusations
in your neighborhood.
To make unfounded statements. Crafty Beaver.
We're where Liam Neeson buys his clubs. Patrol the neighborhood with the Crafty Beaver. Chomp, 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 chomp. Anyway, so I guess it's the why. So now I've heard theories. These are the two main theories I've heard. I've heard that he got in some fight with a boyfriend figure in his life.
Oh.
Physical altercation. That person hit them, and in order to cover up like the bruising or the wounds from that, he orchestrated this attack. So he'd have kind of like a reason because he wanted to like
Aw.
let his boyfriend off. I haven't seen much proof
Well,
of
he didn't
that.
have to press charges or
Huh?
anything.
Huh?
You won't. I mean, he wouldn't if he wanted to let his boyfriend.
But he's
off,
still a
he wouldn't have to
public
press-
figure, so he might be out, and people are like, "What happened to your face?"
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean. Again, I don't necessarily think that's
Okay.
it. I'm just saying what I've
Okay,
heard.
yeah.
I'm just throwing them all out there. Remember, we rang the alarm, so this is all covered. And so that, and then the other one is again the most kind of obvious given the facts. Again, but just saying like it could be literally anything at this point. But I'm just saying like all the stuff you said plus all the stuff that we know, it could just be that he needed a boost in fame. I know it sounds gross, but when you pay someone to attack you, and then that's what you choose. Again, he could have chosen to be mugged or whatever,
Right.
but he chose like a hate crime. It could, and that's what's interesting. Again, it's like you said. There's no. I think there's ways to talk about this with empathy and without further subjugation of people that have been subjugated and all that shit. I think there's a way to talk about it, which is to just be honest about the world we live in, which, a lot of people, like, again, women. That's, again, when we think about women kind of talking about a sexual assault experience, right? And there's always, again, a lot of monsters do say it, but there's a lot of, I think, rationality to, like, is it harder to trust now because these women have something to gain by, talking about their sexual assault? And of course you get like, that's crazy.
How
Why
dare
would
you?
anyone make that up? No one would make that up. It's only negative attention. Why would anyone want that kind of negative attention just to admit? And it's clear that we see from this Jussie Smollett case that like we are in an era and have been for a decent amount of time now where you will get positive support. Like, it is very possible that he goes through this attack and he gets better and he goes on an Oprah style tour. He's going to all the talk shows being like, this is what I've learned. This is my nonprofit I set up. We're going to resist past this. I don't want to look with hate in my heart. I want to look towards the positive. And he's just this kind of shining figure of moving past this awful thing perpetuated by the hate that exists in our society. And I'm sure it would have helped. Even if he doesn't get direct roles in his industry, like he doesn't get acting roles or things like that, I mean, he could still just make money becoming a public figure, and he's going to get more Instagram follows. And, like I said, we learned from that Firefest documentary, like, just building an Instagram following can make you a millionaire, Because, again, let's get 2-3 years past this. It's a little less gross if he starts promoting stuff for $250K a post, and he can do that. And like I said, I don't know if that's why. And I'm saying most people that get hate crime, that get sexually assaulted, aren't public figures. So there's no chance that their crime is going to go national. And they have no chance of getting public support. So I think almost every single hate crime and sexual assault is real. And the person reporting it is reporting it because they want justice or they want help or they want peace of mind or all three or more or less or whatever. Some combination or more. So I'm not saying, but I'm just saying it is clear from this case and how it played out in like the first 48 hours that if you play into what I guess like you would call victim culture, there are positive net effects, And so now there is a incentive. Now, most people are good people, or at least neutral. They're just trying to live their lives. So again, like, even if a person knows they can get ahead by faking a hate crime or faking a sexual assault, they just wouldn't do it because they're like, that's gross. So you're just going to have it not happen a lot because of that. And again, there's still plenty of real hate crimes and plenty of real sexual assaults, and those are the ones that are going to get most reported. But the fact remains, if you incentivize it, which it's clear that it has happened, people are going to do it. It's not going to be a lot, and it's not going to be every time you hear about a sexual assault or hate crime, but it's going to happen. And I just have a feeling that's what we saw. And that does say something about where we are as a society. And I think it says a very dark and gross and weird thing that I think we really need to just take this moment and digest.
Well, and I think that if we don't like, I mean, if it is a hoax, if that's proven, he's probably going to get some jail time. I mean, interfering with the police investigation, you're
I don't
kind
think he'll get jail
or
time,
a
but
fine,
he will get
some sort of
prosecuted.
obstruction. Um, but I think that there is. I mean, again, having empathy for him too. I do see that how I guess okay, woo woo woo. I'm not a scientist or psychiatrist, right? But like I think that
Woo,
there
woo, woo,
I
woo.
think
This is the I am not a scientist
I am not
alarm,
a scientist. I read psychologytoday.com.
brought to
Like,
you by
but
the Cheery Beaver. Is it Cheery?
crafty.
The Crafty Beaver. All right, now
When you need to build your armchair psychology chair.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. Pretty decent.
Okay.
All right, you can go ahead and speak
So
now. Legally, you're allowed to say what you're going to say now.
I do think that when you are a minority in a I mean, what sucks is it undermines the fact that we do live in a very racist country, right? That these attacks, even if not to that extreme, like there
Yeah.
is so much racism that we should be talking about. Let me finish.
Whoa!
I know you're gonna jump in
Woo,
with the
woo, woo,
crafty
woo.
beaver joke.
Yes, I wasn't. I had a point. Woo, woo, woo.
What I was gonna say, let me finish my point, and then you can make yours. Is that
All right, I'm going to take a little nap.
I feel like there is so much like complex trauma involved with being just a person who is a minority, and especially, I mean, again, like he's gay and black. Like I feel like he has definitely probably experienced some discrimination in his life. I know how that can. I think that sort of warps a person, and like again, like complex trauma means nothing like it's not like one attack happened, but you could justify thinking that one did because so much has built up over time.
Would you
right?
say
like that
that this is maybe a
that's not an
continuation?
excuse for him
Right.
to make
I'm
a
just,
hoax. Like, you guys don't false report. But
I
like,
think your point is very interesting. It really does have me thinking, honestly. Um, and because what I'm hearing and what I would say is like kind of true, and I never really thought about it before, is like, so you think about black men, especially in like, let's say the 70s until recently. And I mean, it still kind of occurs, but it's gone down. And maybe this is what was replacing it. There was always the idea that if you were a black man and you wanted to escape poverty, well, it was sports or entertainment, right? Learn to catch a football or learn to dance, right?
Yeah.
You know, you could, juke and jive your way out of the ghetto, which is limiting and kind of institutionally harmful and racist on its face, right?
Right.
Why can't they get out any other way? There's plenty of paths for everyone else to succeed in society. Why not them?
right.
And so there's this thing. So there's this pressure, right? There's this pressure to enter those fields because that seems to be the only way out. And even though you can get out, it's still kind of it's not black men's fault. It's a functional institutional problem that those are the options. Those are the only options we allow them to perceive.
Yeah.
Because there are other options for them, but we've just only let them perceive those options, and that is still a fault of ours to not even give them the confidence to pursue other options.
Or
That some of them are, or some of them are limited. Or
yeah,
some of those options are limited for sure. But I'm saying in general, they do have other options in just very general terms. So it's not that we even take away the options from them, as much as we make them think they're not even available. We make them think that their options are limited, which is almost more harmful, or at least as harmful, as physically actually limiting their options. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that that's kind of maybe a new era of institutional? Because I don't think racism is super societally pervasive. I think it is almost as institutional as it was in Jim Crow, which I think is the scary thing. I think we as a people, person to person, have gotten kinder and more open and accepting of people of all different types. I think even in the hiring process, I think most racism is gone at a low level, right? Hiring at, your local retail shop or your small business. I don't think it's really looked at. But yeah, I would agree if you're going up to big companies and higher positions, I would say, I think the racism gets more and more the higher you go up. Probably the misogyny too. But we're talking about this. So again, I think it's more of an institutional problem, but I think we're probably facing that same thing. Would you say now? Is that kind of the point you're making, which is it's almost in 2010 plus, let's say, we've opened up the perception that black men can be scientists and teachers and mechanics and whatever. They don't have to limit themselves. But the new limit we place on them institutionally is that if you are a black man, you must be a victim or you will not thrive in this society. Being a victim is the only way for you to gain as much notoriety as the white man can via his skill set.
Isn't that so racist too, though?
Because it's kind of I'm not saying...
Well, because it's gross because it is... in that is this, like, white superiority again of, like, you're weak. Other people have made you weak, but you're still weak, or like you have a weakness. I don't know.
I mean, I guess I'm just drawing on that to say that I agree with you that he is kind of, if that is true, he is kind of an empathetic character that he could be, on one of the more successful shows on television. He's a star of that show. I feel like he also has like a music career of some sort because it's like a music show and I think he plays a musician on the show, but I think he's like put out actual music too. I don't really know, but clearly he's doing well in his chosen art form or forms. But apparently, and he's younger, so you think a younger person would be more susceptible to these societal pressures. And it seems like maybe that is what happened, right? Is that he garnered as much attention as he felt he could from just his skill set, and then he looked at the world around him and he said, how do I get notoriety from the white public at large? I need to be a victim. And that's fucked up, dude.
I think that there's some validity to that, and then also, like, I think I've mentioned this book on former episodes where we were talking about how students these days read really old literature that really has no, like, I don't know, import in today's culture, and I brought up that Jodi Picoult, I don't know how you say her last name, book, and it's called Salem Falls, and it's about these girls. It's basically she's like kind of like redoing the Salem witch trials but for modern day, right? And it's these like teenage girls who say this new male teacher in town has been harassing them, and he gets like, is not gonna be able to teach again. The people are like, he's being harassed himself, because people assume that they're right and that they, why would they lie about it? Someone was, he's raped a girl, like, and then at the end of the book, you find out that like she was being raped by the main girl, the one who was leading the accusations. She was being raped by her father, and so she had sort of projected this. That was too much to like accuse her father, right? And so she projected this false narrative onto this new guy because that felt safer, but she would still get justice, and like, in the end, justice prevailed, and the guy, was acquitted or whatever, but she had to go home with his dad. It's still... Anyway, I thought that book was so just tragic because...
Sounds like a good beach read.
Oh, yeah. But I recognized in that, at first I was sort of like angry because I'm like, no, don't tell that story first. Like, tell all the stories of like how this actually does happen to some girls. where the fucking high school teacher's a predator. Like, those stories certainly happen, right? But I thought it was really interesting, and I that felt familiar too. Of this, just when you not, that's an extreme example, right? Because it's a novel, like being raped by your father, right? But like, I do understand when there's just things, these condescension and just discrimination or being sort of demeaned for just something you were born as, coming at you constantly. It sort of like morphs itself into this weird, like you feel justified projecting those sins onto one thing because you... Is that making sense? Like, I guess I'm just saying, I don't...
To be honest, I don't exactly get the correlation.
I think that this guy's wrong for like doing a hoax, right? But I do think that there is validity also to having empathy to people who create fake hate crimes, not like legally, like that's really bad and it undermines the whole system and like allows people to think that any future hate crime is falsely reported.
Well, that's
right?
what I would say. I would say that I think if it turns out that he did this for any reason and it was false, which it seems like that's the case, I think he needs to be punished in some way because it's just so gross.
You can't do that.
You can't do that just because, and again, not because like you can't do that, you lied, because like I said, coming from a coming from a empathetic sensibility, empathy towards real victims. It's not about punishing him because like you made MAGA guys look bad. That's mean. Like
Right.
I don't give a shit about that. It's about like, yeah, you're hurting other victims.
Future
like real
victims,
victims.
right.
And now I feel weird using that word because of your
No,
analogy before
no,
about
but no,
victim culture. But you know what I'm saying? But my point is like, yeah, like that's bad, so it can't go unpunished. But after we punish him, the individual, when we're looking at him as the larger societal story, I think that we as a that he doesn't need to reflect as much as we as a society need to reflect on why would someone think that that is a positive way to get attention. Clearly we have shaped the narrative into a really deformed way that again we should support people that get attacked, but that we would kind of raise up someone that got attacked for that in and of itself. That shows something. His motivation to even fake this, if that's why he faked it, it shows more about us than it does about him.
Yeah.
But he did do the act, and it does have these really nasty trickle-down things that it's just going to make it harder and harder for real victims, especially in this climate where there's so much polarization. That
Well, or
he
you think
needs
about
to be held.
the police resources that are going.
Let's not
to
even
it.
say punish. He needs to be held accountable.
Sure.
But I think it's us as a society that really needs to do a deep dive into our psyche and
Yeah.
realize, like, if he is in fact a monster, I mean, we are Frankenstein.
And
so
even-
we hold fault in the process.
And even if we're not like the ones creating this hoax, right? A hate crime hoax, I feel like you're contributing to a really like bad environment if you just immediately react with like something like I'm on his side 100%. This is awful. All these people need to go. You know, like something just really, really reactive and impulsive and not letting the investigation even take place. Like, no, what's credulity? Is that the word? Right. Where
Sounds
like you
right.
just like, you don't even need facts. If someone on
Yeah.
your side says something, it's the truth. Like, we have to get away from that. Like, and that doesn't, I think you can still be supportive. And I think you're being more supportive by saying like, let's get him to the police. Let's, watch the investigation, make sure that shit isn't, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like when we're all hyped up on like this, like self-righteousness about, of course this happened because MAGA people are awful and want to do this all the time. Then that discussion turns to that instead of like, let's watch the police investigation and make sure that no, discrimination happens there, or even, you know what I mean? Like, it's so distracting, these narratives. Also, our president just like faked a national emergency so he could win the 2020 election, but like we're talking about this, and I that's fine. Like,
And like I said,
but
to me,
but
it
it's just
is
that I
important
feel
to
like
talk
we're-
about if we use it as a tool to analyze ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is not going to happen. Society's garbage, so let's just move on to topic two. It's
well,
fun to
let's
talk about,
about
though.
topic 2 is
Topic
cleaning out the garbage. So I guess of our
Cleaning out the
brain.
garbage.
Okay, so we Marie Kondo, her star is rising, and not because she's a victim. So Japanese lifestyle consultant and tidying expert Marie Kondo. She has that new Netflix show, Tidying Up, and there's been all these stories. There was one in the Chicago Sun-Times about how just in January is usually a really slow month for thrift stores, because no one, it's cold, no one's really doing the quote spring cleaning, like whatever. But they've had like exorbitant amounts of donations since this show started, and in January, they just were being flooded with people getting rid of shit, which they love because it's like more stuff for them to sell. But
So it's gonna just, and those people are gonna just untidy their house with
And then
other
get
people's
new
stuff,
stuff,
and
yeah.
then it just.
But
That's why whenever I see like, it's just funny because we just think like, I mean, I have nothing against thrift stores in general, right? But sometimes it's like it's so full of stuff that I'm just like, what's going on? Like, sometimes we as a country need to just throw things out finally. You know what I mean? Like not everything can be said. It's just like, like if you watch, I love this show Hoarders. Every episode of Hoarders, sometimes it's people that just live in poop. But anyone that lives in items, they're just going to a thrift store thrifting all day. And like there's a part of me that thinks like we need to have some sort of law where like the same way like a bar can be held responsible if they overserve you and you get a DUI. Like if you are a hoarder, I think we need to have some accountability. If you're like the city comes out and finds out you're hoarding, and they put some sort of like warning on your house. I think like any fines that you're responsible for, I think like 10% of them should have to be paid by any thrift stores that you visited. They should just like they should have the responsibility to cut you off like a bartender does. Like they should be like, all right, well, this is the 5th time Mary's been here, and she's had a cartload of stuff every time. So next time she comes, you have to tell her
Yeah,
she's
but
not
that's
allowed to
like,
buy
I
here
mean,
anymore.
that's discrimination. You
It's
can't do
not. Then it would be discrimination to say people cut people off of booze all the time. That's not discrimination.
No, because that's creating a social danger.
So
I don't think hoarding is a social danger.
it's
It's an individual.
yeah,
danger.
it is because then they get it happens all the time on hoarders. They get mice or other pests, and it spreads to the houses around them and stuff like that. Or just they're a fire hazard, and we know fires can spread from house to house very easily, especially if it's a goddamn tinderbox. Or let's face it, there's economic violence. If your house looks like that, it brings down the value of the houses around it. That's economic violence towards your neighbors.
It was funny because I was reading this article and I was like, I would think that as a thrift store owner, my reaction would be like, oh no one's gonna buy all this worthless shit because everyone's tidying up. No one's gonna want like this more stuff for their now clean house. Yeah. Hold on, but it was the opposite. They were like, yeah, this is great for business because now we have more stuff here and like more like good stuff for people to buy. And right. It's because they know that this is just a fad right. and it's not.
But that's
last
the other point.
And people
is
are
like
gonna come
there
back
should be
to
a
get the
zone.
stuff.
There should be a zoning law too. And if you're a thrift store, you should only be allowed to have so much square footage of merchandise. You go to these like 2-3 level giant warehouse sized thrift stores. And so that means people bring in literally stuff that should be trash. And then the thrift store goes like, all right, well, we'll just put it in because we have like almost unlimited space. When the thrift store should be like, there should be a responsibility of them to be like, actually, thank you, but this is garbage. Throw it out. We have enough clothes in the thrift store already.
Throw stuff out.
They should be throwing out more stuff. So I just think, yeah, it's too much. We're not tidying up. We're just moving it to basically a new warehouse where it can just sit for 25 cents for all eternity.
Well, so
let's get in the Pacific. Let's get it in the Pacific Ocean where it belongs, with all our plastic straws.
My question for you was,
yes. Oh, sorry. Was there a question?
Yeah. I'm just curious because we've been watching the show and like we sort of did like a purge in January. Like, I'm really interested in her. I think part of why she's so popular, right, isn't just that it's tidying up, but her like charming little translator who's so cute. I think that it's the way she sort of flips the script of getting rid of stuff, where she's like, you're not like getting rid of things. You think of it as like, what do I get to keep? And like, what do I have this privilege of having in my life? And like, right. I should make more room for that because it sparks joy in my life. So I want to make more room for it. And like, I think that's really interesting. The psychology of like changing that. So I'm wondering, like, what does that mean to you, like, sparking joy? Like, and do you think that is, like, a sign, again, like, talking about these, like, cultural, I don't know, pop culture is always so interesting to me, other than, like, Aladdin face, because I feel like it speaks to our general,
Are you implying that Will Smith was wearing Aladdin face, like blackface? Is that the phrase you used? Genie face?
I did, but it's clearly problematic. But so, But I feel like it's also just related to this. We all feel so overwhelmed with the news, with our shit, because shit is cheap, and when people have so much of it, also like our inboxes have thousands of unread emails. You know, we have so many social media platforms. Signed up for so many fucking
newsletters.
That's
fucking
like,
you, though, dude.
Like
that's so you. Your inbox is a nightmare.
Well, not
you
about
should
the inbox, Justin, but
Marie
like,
Kondo that,
do you
because
not think
as
that
soon
there
as
is
I get a
something of like
let me finish.
Of like culturally us having way too much to do
I'm
and
gonna
like
answer that.
consume.
But
so we
first, I would like
to
say right now that as soon as you get a message, just scroll down, hit unsubscribe. Turn off all your email notifications on all your social media platforms. They're trash. I get like 2-3 emails a
I
day,
already
and I
do
love
that.
my life.
I feel like this is so rum guy. It's so rum guy to be like,
Whoa,
how about you do these things you
whoa.
already do? Cheers.
Well,
I'm
you
rum
don't.
guy.
I've seen your
No, I do
Gmail. It's a
that. Well, just
nightmare.
in my Gmail, the emails you're talking about are like work emails.
Look,
You don't have like
here's what
emails
rum guy
coming in
is.
about
Rum
work.
guy is always right, but he
Rum
doesn't need to
guy
be recognized
doesn't
for
work.
such in the moment. You know, rum guy also doesn't work a lot, but you know what? He contributes to the house in other ways.
Rum guy is good at purging and tidying up.
It's true. It's true. Hashtag your inbox is your fault. So, yeah, I was actually kind of just going to say kind of what you were pulling on, which is that, yeah, it reminded me when we talked about millennials having less sex. I believe we talked about that a few episodes ago. The study that millennials were having less sex than generations before them. And how amongst the things we talked about, I said, well, we're not having no sex, we're having less sex, and it could be argued, and we went into like a kind of a whole historical kind of study. Again, not with like charts, but with just but just the idea that maybe society from the 70s or the 90s was oversexed.
Yeah.
We were having too much sex, and sex was commercialized in a way that had become obscene. And I think that's kind of where we're at with stuff. I don't think that our generation is more tidy than the last, or is obsessed with tidying, or the whole joy thing. I think it is the whole idea that your thing should bring you joy. It's funny, it's not a new concept. To me, it's an old concept that we've forgotten.
Yeah.
And it's the idea that, yes, stuff has become so cheap that we just buy stuff. I mean, to me, that's what all of decluttering is, right? Like, I mean, and we didn't really do a big purge because I feel like we live lean anyways because we figured this out. Basically, this lady's method, the spirit of it, I think I figured out like 10 years ago and kind of told you about it, and you've since been practicing it. And we're not perfect. We still have to go through kind of like mass tidying sessions, which is what we did last month. But even then, we didn't throw out that much stuff. You know what I mean? But it still felt good. And it's just still the idea that we still live in a society where you just want things because they're so accessible instead of just getting a thing you love and cherishing it for a few years.
Yeah.
And then it breaks, or a better version of it comes out, or whatever, or you don't use it anymore, and then you replace it or just get rid of it whole cloth. But either way, like the idea that you think spark joy, I think, is an old idea. And I honestly, she kind of brought words to it, so credit to that. But I feel like I've lived kind of a version of that, like that's kind of like how I always thought of stuff. Maybe I didn't use joy, but just like again, maybe because I'm like more rational and less emotive than her, and I think a lot of people maybe connect to that emotion of it, the bring joy. But I would always think like, is this useful? Like I try to look at things when I was cleaning and be like, have I used this in the last year? Could I envision using it? Think of something you can use it for this month. And if you can't, chuck it. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit more authoritarian. I'm kind of like a dictator of my stuff, where she's like kind of like a kind Gandhi figure to her stuff. But, that's just personality. We did the Myers-Briggs test. We know that I am similar to Putin. But you know what I mean? So I just think it's good. I think it's good. I think we've recognized it. I think we've seen, like, again, like, I joked about it, but seriously, just like all our trash, everything we buy becomes trash so quickly, and it ends up in these like awful electronic landfills in China, or just these massive garbage piles in the middle of the Pacific. And that's like a fucked up way to live. And also our stuff, like, you could say live with no stuff. That could be, you could go super zen, but hey, we live in a commercial society. Let's get some fucking stuff. But get less stuff, get better stuff, and enjoy your stuff more, and I think that's kind of what we're doing. And I feel that way with clothes. I do love clothes, but I really do try to buy stuff that, if trendy, still have some elements of evergreen to them. I like to buy classic pieces. I'll spend a little bit more for something because I really do like to wear stuff for like a few years, even if it becomes like less and less a featured part of my outfit. Like I have a lot of like jackets, like sports coats and things like jeans, and I don't know, just like a lot of those things, like basic pieces that like if you don't get something too trendy and you get a fit that's kind of standard, it works for a while. I mean, I just have like I have a navy blazer that I love. It's like, it's a little royal, it's not a pure navy. That makes it like a little trendy. But again, like I've had it for a while and I feel like it always looks on point. It has a standard fit. It's a little slim fit, but nothing like too skinny fit or too Chandler going to the office in the 90s boxy fit. It's just a nice fitted blazer in a light navy blue. Like I feel like I have a lot of things like that, and it's like, yeah, and I get excited every time I get a chance to wear it because I really like it. You know what I mean? And it was by no means expensive, but like I said, instead of going to a thrift store or instead of going to Kmart, I went to Macy's. Paid maybe like, I don't know, $60 or $70 for it, and I've been wearing it for years. And I think that's just like, clothes I think is a big thing, but yeah. I don't know. Do you remember, like, this is the last thing I'll say, like, it just seems like, I just remember when I was a kid, did you ever get, well, you didn't, I know you already, but did you ever get, I was going to say, did you ever get some, like, money from your parents? But you're like, you're like a kid, so it's not a lot. Your mom would be like, okay, we're going to the mall, and if you're real quiet, I'll give you $5, and you can, like, spend it wherever. And I just remember our mall had everything is like a dollar store. So, of course, I'm like, let's go there. I can get 5 things. And I would get shit that became garbage instantly. Whereas if I was just like a really good kid all year and I saved up like all my goodwill and I was like, okay, I just want one thing I want a big birthday present, but this is all I want, just this one thing, like a bike, something like that. Or I remember I got a Hot Wheel for Christmas or birthday. I think it was birthday because I think I got to ride it right afterwards. So if it was Christmas, it'd be too snowy. And I mean, I love that thing. It was like my one birthday gift because it was expensive. But I got that Hot Wheel, and I was like, I fucking loved it. It brought joy. Like I really appreciated it more than, I mean, I go to that everything is a dollar store. They had like a toy section, but I remember sometimes I'd just get like a spatula. I don't remember that. Or just, like just, because it was like a dollar. So I was
like, I need more stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, just like, ooh, it's a thing, and I can have it, and it looks kind of interesting, or just,
One of my favorite stories you tell about your, like, just understanding of money and like buying things that spark joy is the fishing tackle box with your dad, and like he wanted you to buy the really like one that had a lot more lures.
Me and my dad went fishing all the time, and so he's like, I'm going to buy you your own tackle box, because he would just bring his and we'd share out. He's like, I'm going to get you your own. I was like, fuck yes. And so we went to the store, and he was kind of like, you can pick out what you want, but obviously being a dad, he's like, all right, here's like the junior tackle boxes. And there was one, it was called like the Junior Fisherman or the Little Fisher or something like that. It was just like a generic brand, or not maybe generic, but like, I don't even know what tackle box brands are.
A value brand, basically.
Well, it was just like, let's say like Craftsman. I don't know. I know that's a tool brand, but so it wasn't like generic. It was just like, it was like Craftsman tools or like Rubbermaid bins. It was just like the standard manufacturer of tackle boxes. I don't even know, like I said, any big tackle box brands, but it'd be just like the big box store tackle box brand. And they had like the junior version of that. And right next to it, though, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tackle box. And I go, well, let's get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle
TMNT
tackle
for
box.
sure.
I mean, it would be dumb not to. I love them. I love fishing. It's 2 things I like. You said I could get it. Let's fucking crush this, and let's go catch some bluegills in Lake Erie, my dad. And he goes, well, and he was like, well, so now that's cool, but you see, they're about the same price. Actually, the TMNT one is like a couple bucks more. It wasn't like significant, but it was a couple bucks more.
Yeah.
And look, because it has like the little placard that shows everything inside the tackle box. It's like it has more lures and it has more hooks and it has more stuff. And I'm like, for sure. But also, let's just get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one, because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, let's not be ridiculous here. Like, I get that, like, I feel like even as a kid, I was kind of like yeah, okay, like I get the lesson. If I tell you I get the lesson, can we just move on and get the Turtles one? Like I promise I will carry this throughout life, but right now I'm gonna need that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tackle box. And he was like, and I don't know, I think we didn't like fight, but he like was kind of getting like, I really think you should get this one. I think like that's not a smart decision, and you just like it because of the turtles. And I was like, I do, but I still think like
But I can recognize it that it's
and I
for
was
the
still
turtle.
like, I feel like I saw an argument like it still has stuff. Like again, I am a kid. We are fishing for bluegill on Lake Erie. I don't need 85 bobbers. You know what I mean? Like I think 8 or 10 is enough. Can we please just get the changeable tackle box? And he begrudgingly got it.
See, that's a
But
big
it
deal that
sparked
he
so
like
much
that
joy.
he got it for you too. You know that like he told you why you should get the other one,
It
but
sparked
still was
so
like,
much
okay.
joy.
I
Love
remember
that
my
thing.
learning about money. The only real story, because I never had any of it as a kid,
Yeah.
and like, but I do remember in first grade. Remember they would have those like holiday fairs where they'd have scholastic books, but also like other gifts you could like shop in the library for your gifts to give your family, right? And so, or at least in my elementary school, we did. So in first grade, I think I can't remember how much money I got, right? But it probably was not much. And I had gone through and like I wanted to get my mom a gift, and I like took all my time trying to find the perfect gift for her. And I found these really pretty like rhinestone just stud earrings, and they were in this really pretty like blue velvety box, you know. And I was like, it's her favorite color, and like she'll love this so much. Like I have to get her this. This is perfect. And I had spent all my time like looking at my options, and like I'm like, this is it. This is what I'm getting. So I like take it to the cashier, and they're like, okay, probably like $10 or whatever, you know. And I like hand over $1, and they're like, oh honey, like here's how money works. Like, yeah. I just thought that because like I did it. I looked around. I didn't pick a bunch of stuff. Like this is the one thing I'm gonna get. Okay, I don't know how much money I have, but like here, this is I did it right.
The
So
saddest
I had
part
to like put
about
them away.
the saddest part about that story is that you had to learn about money from a store clerk in the mall.
It wasn't in the mall. It was in
Yeah.
our school library. So it was
Oh, in
probably
school
a
library.
really nice like fourth grade teacher being like, "Oh, honey, let me tell you about money." Here's how this
I
works.
think your first iteration was probably correct. They were probably like, God damn, this girl. No one's teaching this girl about money.
Oh well. Mm-hmm.
We don't have to psychoanalyze you on
Anyway,
the podcast,
but I feel like I love her.
Did you say it was at the school library?
Yeah,
Did I
did.
miss that?
You
Sorry.
did.
I did. I was a bad listener.
But I think
I
that
still
was
think
my
my
first
point
like
stands, though.
understanding though of
Still
like,
think my point
oh,
stands.
there's like you can't just. It's sort of like when I was a kid, I didn't really fully understand that advertisements like that. When I was really young, like I'm not an idiot, but like when I was really young, I thought like, oh, if you like get this foundation, like you'll look like that person. Like I had my mom I'm a redhead, and I had my mom curl my hair one time because I like fucking wanted to look like Winona Judd. Not Ryder, Winona Judd, the redhead country singer.
What a strange aspirational goal.
No, it's just because I didn't know any redheads. So I was like, if she curls my hair, I'm gonna like look just like Winona Judd. And then she curled my hair, and I was like fucking devastated because I still look like me. And I like brushed it out and like put it up in a ponytail. I was so upset.
Here's to be honest, I would assume that even if you looked like Winona Judd, you would still be devastated. You'd be like, well, this was not an apt goal to set for myself.
That kindergartner really looks like Winona Judd.
Well,
Does
that
she
haircut
have
will be $10. Oh, I think this single will cover it.
so cover?
I'm sorry, no one has taught me anything.
Does she have a fringe vest? Yeah, but it's funny just how understanding of things. But I feel like we're good. Yeah, we live very lean, and like I think I do that thing where like whenever we go to a hotel room, I'll like say goodbye to the hotel room.
Yeah,
be
you
like,
already do her weird ass goofy
like,
talking to
just
nothing
say
stuff. So
thank you for your service. I think that's sweet.
Whenever we leave, you always say bye, house.
I know. I want to say thank you. Have some good energy.
Want to do topic
we are
3?
very different people.
We're so different.
Yeah, let's go to topic 3.
Topic 3, 2019 NBA All-Star Weekend Slam Dunk Contest. Whoop, 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 whoop. Pow.
Sponsored by the Crafty Beaver.
Oh, Crafty Beaver. There's sure a lot of black people playing basketball. Crafty Beaver. Chip. All right, so you did not watch the Slam Dunk Contest. In fairness, I didn't either. I just pulled up that highlight video that showed all the dunks from the dunk contest.
That's all you needed.
That's all you really need. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So I just thought we'd have a little fun. This is topic 3 after all. The 2019 NBA Slam Dunk Contest. Now, I think this would be a good time to plug this, just super, super quick. Now, Jackie has kind of done this before, but now we've made it an officially licensed, ongoing part of this podcast. Is that every Monday when the podcast comes out, if you go to JackieManty.com, Jackie Manty will have a little roundup of the podcast, which I think is
On
awesome.
my blog. Just click
So
blog.
I think, just click blog.
Or JackieManty.com/blog.
Yeah, click blog.
Whatever.
It's too much typing otherwise.
It.
You'll find it. But anyway, so yeah, every Monday, at some time on Monday, probably in the morning when the podcast goes up, it'll be live. But like I said, for some reason it's not. Just go check later. And we'll have a little rundown. Like I said, Jackie done it a little bit before, but like I said, now it's an official part of the FemComPod experience. So basically, I think this will be good for. This is like the perfect thing for that system. Meaning, like, this obviously works better if you know all the dunks, and obviously you might have not watched the video or watched the contest. So we'll put the video that I sent Jackie that just has literally just a smash cut of all the dunks together, and you can have a little companion piece for what we're about to talk about. So there's 4 participants in this weekend's dunk contest. It was Dennis Smith Jr., John Collins, Miles Bridges, and Hamidou Diallo. I think I'm saying that right. Hamidou Diallo? I'll just say, whenever you don't know a name, just say it kind of fast and put some accents on it. So those were the 4 competitors, and they were in the dunk contest, and I just wanted to ask you, what was your favorite dunk of the night? Dunk of the night.
I have 2
okay.
for very different reasons. The first is I feel like this with basketball players specifically. I don't know why it's basketball. Probably because I can see them. I feel very maternal.
Okay, I thought I was going to get racist.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
It's because you're in Crafty Beaver mode.
Crafty Beaver.
Crafty Beaver copywriting mode.
Our rugs are Oriental, and so are our views on what Asian should be called. The Crafty Beaver.
No.
Since 1776, when the world made more sense.
Sponsored by Hobby Lobby.
A subsidiary of Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, there you go.
Chop.
I feel like this started happening maybe 5 years ago or so. When I would watch basketball, I would feel this very maternal care for these players, and I don't know where it comes. I think it's getting older and or just being sexually monogamous, or also just understanding that I can never have sex with these people, so I can't be I could be physically attracted to them. I'm not going to.
Okay.
And especially as I get older and they're younger, I don't really want to either.
Gotcha.
But I do feel, so I feel like my, that's weird to say my sexual attraction has turned into maternal attraction. But I feel like since I don't have that anymore,
Jackie
I used to watch.
Fuck her son.
No, I used to watch basketball, and it would be fun because of the athleticism, right? But it was also fun to watch because they were hot.
Hot boys.
Yeah, now I don't see them like that. I see them as oh, I'm so proud of them, or just it's just weird. It's so
just want to know your favorite dunk.
Are you staying hydrated? So my first favorite dunk is my maternal, oh, poor boy. I just want to give you a hug. It's the guy who did the jump over the airplane with his old-timey pilot gear on.
Yeah, that was not good.
Bad. It was
because he also he hit the plane.
I know,
he knocked pieces off
clearly,
the plane.
He did not believe in this what's the word for what that stunt was? It just was so hokey and cheesy little stunt, and you could tell he was super uncomfortable, and then he did it wrong. He hit the plane because he probably was this is so stupid. And it was stupid, and I wanted to hug him. So that was my favorite as far as me feeling useful. And then, because it's ultimately about me. But my favorite fucking dunk was Habibou Diallo going over.
Habibou Diallo.
Diallo going over Shaquille O'Neal into a honey dip.
A honey dip.
That's the name of that dunk, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, when your elbow, you hook in. That's like a 90s thing, right?
I'm going to Google that.
Google honey dip dunk.
Honey dip dunk is coming up.
When it's elbow, because you your elbow goes on and you hang on with your elbow.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know it had I didn't
Yeah,
know it
he
had
was
an
so good.
official name.
So he not only jumped over Shaq, he was able to like have his
Did you
so.
Google that or did you know
No,
that?
I knew a honey dip. I used to love watching basketball. Like
I guess I know.
basketball. My basketball knowledge is like music knowledge. Where some years I know so much because I actually watched during that time. But like other time, I'm like I don't know what the most popular song in 2006 was
I mean,
because I was
I've
listening to.
seen that dunk before, so I know like I'm not like obtuse to it as a dunk. I just did not know it had an official name. And
Yeah.
when you saying honey dip sounds fake.
Oh. I think maybe I
Sounds
remember
like you made it up.
because it's so like a cute little name.
That's why I didn't believe it. Anyways,
The Crafty Beaver does that.
that is for
That
sure.
was the best one.
That it was my pick too. That
Oh my
was
god,
the
it was
dunk of the
so
night.
good. Okay, but let me finish. That he had
Oh.
so much control that he could not only go over the 7'1" tallest man we all know, like just right over him in like 2 steps, but then to have the control to like get his arm in there and be able to keep himself up and like flex and like open his Superman shirt. It was so good.
Yes,
was
I think
amazing.
that jumping over Shaq was awesome. I mean, he's so tall, and especially because other people jumped over people that night. Someone jumped over. I think someone from Migos was that
J.
it?
Cole.
And then J. Cole, but J. Cole was sitting.
Oh.
And then someone
Oh, was
jumped
that
over
Migos?
a guy.
He had a cool jacket.
I think it was a guy
I was
from
like, Justin
Migos.
probably
I don't
loves
know.
that
I'm probably
jacket.
now I sound old as shit. I think it was one of the Migos.
The Migos?
So anyways, either way, like people, that's what made it better is that he jumped over the tallest person of all the people that jumped over people. So boom, and got the elbow in the rim, like
So cool.
that. I just was like, damn, fuck yeah, like it felt really cool, and he
Yeah.
really got over Shaq clean.
Yeah.
Because some people say that so if you look at some people were like, oh, he pushed off. But if you look at the slow-mo replay, he put his hand briefly on Shaq's back. So, like, the vertical part.
Yeah.
I think it's only a cheat if you put on the shoulder and push.
Yeah.
He clearly was just, like, centering himself so he didn't, like, smack
Smash
Shaq
his
in the head.
Yeah.
And there was no lift. That was a pure, clean jump over Shaq, 7'1". And then
Like-
the elbow in the rim, the honey dip dunk, I guess we're calling it. It was like, and then like I said, to open up the shirt when he was hanging.
To have
like,
that much control. Like
it was a good
you
dunk.
guys just imagine like you have 3 steps to get over Shaquille O'Neal and then dunk the ball. Like and by jump over him we mean like spread your legs open to get that 7'1" tall man underneath your body into the it's amazing. It's so good. Was this I've never watched a dunk contest before. Were these like impressive comparatively or like is it
I think honestly, they've just been working on this dunk contest forever. Because the issue with the dunk contest is it was so revered for so long, and then the problem becomes like while those dunks were great, there's only so many dunks you can do. So doing this for a decade plus, it's like we've seen all the dunks. We've seen all the iterations, all the combinations, all the like between the legs. Between the legs off the pass, between the legs rebound to yourself. Like we've kind of seen everything that's possible by the human body. And so they actually got rid of it for a little bit, then brought it back. There have been better ones than other ones. And so I think to kind of offset the kind of like creativity bubble that's burst, like, I mean, I don't remember there being this few contestants. Again, I'm not like a dunk contest aficionado. NBA is my least followed sport, but I feel like there was always more than 4. Like when there was just 4 contestants, I was like honestly pretty surprised. But again, it makes sense because it's like, all right, you 4 guys. Again, like it seems like I don't know exactly how the tournament structure worked, but it seemed like they each ended up doing like 3 dunks, so that's like 12 dunks. So it's kind of like okay, 10 to 12 dunks, like. We can find some creativity within that. But then, like, before when you had more guys and more rounds, then you're doing more dunks after years of everyone doing dunk. And it just seems repetitive and nothing's really blowing your dick off. So I think that this contest, the way it's set up, it kind of lets someone like the Diallo honey dip dunk shine because there weren't a lot of dunks. And this one kind of had a new little spin on it and it looked cool. And so it was just like, bingo bango. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it worked. Some of them were okay. Yeah, honestly, nah, there wasn't anything that great. The only other one I liked was the guy from Charlotte. I forget what his name is. He did like the
Is that Collins?
guy passed to him off the side of the backboard, and he did like a 360 off the catch. It was pretty
Yeah, that
good.
was cool.
I always like a 360. It's
Mhm.
hard to control your body doing a 360 spin. I don't think people appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think the 360
When you're
might even
reliant on someone else's pass, do you always
yeah,
seem like
for sure.
whenever you throw someone else in the mix where they're controlling the ball to
I think the
get to
360
you.
and the between the legs is always the toughest.
That's why I thought that J. Cole thing was good too, because he would like had J. Cole pass it to him. You know what I mean? Like I just think you're adding
For sure.
another person's like their own stability into it.
And it always messes up your timing a little
Yeah.
bit. So the fact that you can get that high and dunk that hard
Yeah.
when you don't have like
Dependent on
perfect
another
timing, yeah,
person's
it's good.
timing,
It's
yeah.
it's good.
They're so I mean
The dunk contest is just tough. It was such a cool thing. Now it's not, but I still like that they do it because you can always find cool moments, and I
like
really do
that.
think that was a
Yeah.
cool moment. So it was worth having, and like I said, at least watch the highlights of it. So nice. I'm glad. Do you want to know this? I'm looking at this one sheet just from a betting person's point of view.
Yeah.
Hamidou Diallo was the complete underdog to win it. He had
And
the
he
lowest
won.
betting odds. He was plus 300 to win it, which means if you would have bet on him, you win 3 times your bet. So
Oh,
he
and
was
he
the
won,
odds-on
right?
underdog, and he won.
I'm so proud of
It's
him.
pretty cool. All right. Well, that has been a feminist and a comedian walk into a bar. Remember, you can find more information about the podcast at FemComPod.com. And you can find more information about everything else at lowclass.com. That's LO-class.com. Actually, I think that's supposed to go at the end. So rusty.
Yeah.
Because I think what I was supposed to say before that is I've been Justin Golak. You can find more info about me at justingolak.com. I am on Twitter at Justin Golak. Hit me up there with some little messages. And then you can hit me up at justingolak.com. Email for them bigger messages and them dick pics. And nothing really to plug, justingolak.com, upcoming shows. Still got stuff coming up in Chicago, which I'm very excited about. So keep coming through those joints if you're a local. And once the weather brightens up, I'm sure I'll be on the road soon enough, hopefully coming to a city near you, performing stand-up comedy. Also with me, as always, Jackie Manti, JackieManti.com. Remember, JackieManti.com. Click blog and find out, just a little summary with some, visual aids and maybe some links to articles and just a companion let's call it the companion piece to the FemComPod episodes will be
It's the show notes.
show notes will be at JackieManti.com. Click blog at Jackie_Manti on the tweets and Jackie at JackieManti.com on the electronic mail. Send her those tit pics. Keep them sloppy, keep them floppy.
Yeah, send me your honey dips.
Send her your honey dips. Anything else specific you want to plug?
No, just check out my blog. I've been posting all break and have been featured on a podcast, and some of my other stuff got published. So
Hell yeah.
some cool announcements and just new work up there.
Cool.
Check it out.
FemComPod.com, lowclass.com, lo-class.com. It does fit better at the end. So rusty. It has been fun though. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a good one.
You missed your dunk.
Bye.